Hi Year 9s, so today I'm going to make the second recipe in your recipe book, which is chilled lemon flan. Now normally I have to cook it beforehand so I can show you what it looks like when it's cooked. Well, I can do the whole lot because this is a no cook pudding. So you don't have to bake it. It's a bit like a cheesecake, but it hasn't got any cream cheese in it that cheesecakes have in them. That's why they're called cheesecakes. But it looks similar, and you can decorate it with fruit, and you can choose whatever fruit you like to put on there. So it's got a biscuit base and a nice lemony topping to it, and then fresh fruit on top. So the ingredients in the recipe book is going to make a flan. It says a 22cm tin. Now I'm using a loose bottom one to get it out so it comes out nice with presentation. But if you haven't got that, you could use like a Victoria sandwich tin that's not got a loose bottom tin. If that's all you've got, it's something like a brownie tin, you could use that as well. Now if you want to double it, a big family, you've got people going for dinner, you obviously need a bigger flan dish for that. If that's all you've got, I would suggest you double it anyway because it's going to be too thin, because that's just the surface area on that. If you haven't got one that size, then double it, get a big one. In which case you'll be using double of all the ingredients, which is quite good actually, because I'm going to be using half a can of condensed milk, so you are going to be left with half the can, which will keep in the fridge for quite a long time. If you want to make another one again, just put this in the other half in the fridge to make it a later date. And the cream, I've got I need 150, that's where you need half of this. And when you buy a packet of biscuits, you only need 9 digestive biscuits, so you're probably going to have double the amount in the packet anyway, so you could double it. It's absolutely fine. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, obviously I wash my hands because I've already touched food. I washed my hands before I started, in between the fingers, backs of the hands and the wrists, to get that bacteria down to a safe level, which is what we always do before we start cooking. If you've got an apron on, but it doesn't matter if you haven't got one, make sure your worktops are clean, your equipment's clean as well. You're not going to need any scales for this one, which is quite good, because normally when you need to be weighing stuff out, but we can judge it by the quantities of the packaging first of all. So first thing is to get this biscuit base. So I'm making, I said, in this sort of tin. So first of all is to get my biscuit base. So I need 60 grams of butter, which I've got in the bowl there. You could use margarine. Butter's going to give you a better flavour. It always does in cooking. So personally, when I'm cooking, I like to use butter. But if you want to use margarine, that's absolutely fine. So in the option, margarine will be quicker to cook. So I'm just going to put it in for 30 seconds. I want it to be completely melted into a liquid, no lumps in it, and it just depends sort of how hot the temperature of your, the power of your microwave, how soft the butter was before, but you want that complete to a liquid. So while I'm waiting for the butter, I'm going to get my biscuits ground. Now I'm doing mine in the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can hear it melting in there. If you don't have a food processor, you can put your biscuits into a plastic bag and then roll them with a rolling pin, or you could hit them rolling pin. It's better to roll it though, because if you smash it like that, you might break the bag and then they're all going to leak out, aren't they? So I'm just going to check that butter's melted now. Complete liquid, complete liquid now. So I'm just going to turn it around. I'm just going to put that in the bowl where I'm going to put the biscuits in a minute. See, the bigger bowl, that wouldn't be big enough. So now it's 9 digestive biscuits. You could use ginger nuts if you want to, or hobnobs. Don't use chocolate coated biscuits because when the butter gets mixed with them, it just sort of sticks together in a sticky mess. It doesn't quite work for this. Just keep your chocolate digestives to go with your cup of tea. And then I'm going to put these on, and it's obviously going to be very quick in here, much quicker than if you were doing a rolling pin. So we're going to get speed by using processors, and consistency in obviously the size of the crumbs, so it doesn't take long. Always a couple of biscuits I don't want to break up, and I'm going to go in again. So turn it off like that. So now I've got a few, but they don't seem to be breaking some, so I'm just going to crush them as I put them with the butter, but most of it's crushed up. I've now got my melted butter in my bowl, so I'm going to now add the biscuits. Maybe crushing some as I go along, because that food processor hasn't done it all. So if you just got a few lumps, just crush them as they go in, because otherwise you're going to have big lumps in your big lumps of biscuit in your biscuit base, which we don't want. So just crush those as they go in. And we're going to mix as the butter. So you've got, this looks a bit like dry sand, but when you mix it with butter, it looks a bit like wet sand. So you can shape it better, because the butter is going to start to stick to those grains of biscuit, crumbs of biscuit, and bind it all together to make the biscuit base. This is often a base you find, I say, in cheesecakes, in sort of banoffee pie as well, although traditionally it should be pastry in a banoffee pie. So mix it around like that, and what you'll find is that every crumb will get coated in melted butter, makes it taste even more delicious. And if you've got a few crumbs, just crush them down with the back of your spoon. Okay, I find a metal spoon is better for this than a wooden spoon. It tends to stick to the wood a little bit more, and a metal spoon is better for getting it into your dish. So you should have, it should look like that, like I said, like wet sand. And now we can put it into your tin. Now you should need to grease it because there's a lot of butter in this already. So just empty it out into your tray. It's a very popular dessert with students. I've still got some sixth formers that say they still make the chilled lemon flan that they made in year 9. Then just with the back of the spoon, just press it down. If you want to, if you've got some time, you could make some sides with it, just pressing up to the sides as well. But I'm just, for speed, I'm just going to do the base on mine. Just keep going around, patting it down and compacting it then, so that when you slice into it, it will, you'll get a nice neater slice, like a pie. So then you're going to look like that. Now, you could put that in the fridge. I'll just leave it out for now, but you could put that in the fridge just to solidify even more for a bit more time. And it will also, when you cut it, so you'll get a nicer cut. So next thing to do is to whip the cream. I'm just going to wash my hands. A bit biscuity. Now, the best thing to do is to whip the cream. So I've got a bowl here, and it's 150 grams, sorry, millilitres of cream. So just look at your container. It's half of that, and it's going to go in. This is double cream. It needs to be double cream or whipping cream. It doesn't work with single cream. Single cream's just not got enough fat in it. Single cream's only good for pouring on fruit or in your coffee. It's not got as much fat as double cream or whipping cream, so it just won't whip up. It's the fat in it that traps the air in it. So 150 grams of cream. Now, if you haven't got an electric food mixer, you'll have to do this by hand with a balloon whisk. Or you might have a standalone mixer to do this. If you've got the standalone ones, which is ones like a KitchenAid or a Kenwood, just be careful, you don't want to over whip your cream, and make sure the cream comes straight from the fridge. Once the cream warms up, it's very easy to over whip it. And if you over whip it, you might not have any spare cream. So just switch it on, and what you're doing is you're aerating this cream. Don't over whip it. What's happening? The protein in the cream, the amino acids, are able to stretch. Right, it's a great ingredient to use in cooking, just like eggs as well as a protein. Amino acids are stretching, denaturing it's called, and they're trapping air. And they're really capable of trapping an awful lot of air. And you can see the air bubbles in there. And as the air bubbles get trapped as amino acids, they've got nowhere to go, so it thickens the cream up. You carry on whisking it, carry on adding the whisking, not the hand whisk, you'll end up with butter and buttermilk. We don't want butter and buttermilk, we want just whipped cream. So it starts to, just stop every now and then, just stop, and just to see, that's not thick enough yet, just need to keep on going. It's getting there, I can see it changing, I can see the air bubbles getting in there. Again, slow it down, have a look at it. Have you got, that's the consistency you're looking for. So it doesn't take long at all. So I'm going to finish with the electric mixer now. So I've just ejected my beaters. I'm going to tap them over the side and put them into the thing. And now I'm going to add the ingredient that sweetens this up. There's no extra sugar in the lemon filling. There is obviously sugar in the biscuits, but the lemon filling, the sweetness comes from condensed milk, which is basically milk, boiled milk and sugar in there till it goes really syrupy, and it's canned. So it keeps for a long time in there. Make sure you get the right one. Don't get the banoffee toffee one, because supermarkets sell toffee in cans that look very similar to this. I'm just going to mention tin openers. You might have a tin opener that's on the top like that, where you go, this is a side tin opener, like the ones we use in school, and you just make sure you can hear it go through the top of that tin. Then just turn it round, and just don't let go of that grip. Keep turning. If you've got one like this, you might have a different one, and you keep on going till it's all the way around, so that top is completely off. and then just pull it back like that. Just be really careful because this is really, really sharp. That's why I like to take them off completely. I'm just twisting it around so it's not coming off completely. There we go, and that's going to go in the sink. So next to this, it's not going in the sink, that would cut somebody, it's just on the side of the sink. So condensed milk, just half of this can. So pour it in, look how thick and syrupy this is. This is a sugar. It's not very nice on its own. It tends to be used a lot in cooking. You see on the picture, it always has a picture of fudge or caramel slices because it's used in the fudge making, and the toffee that goes in millionaire shortbread, or caramel slices some people call it. So I'm going to change now to a hand whisk. I'm just going to fold that through. I don't want to lose too much of that air. You will lose some of it because the condensed milk is quite heavy. You can see it's sort of blended through like that. Okay, that's all you need to do. Now what we need to do now is to flavour that, because that is just a sort of cream and sugar and milk, isn't it really? So we need to get some flavour in that. And the flavour of this is going to be lemons. If you want to, you could use a lemon and a lime. That would be quite nice. You get little flecks of green in there as well, but oranges doesn't work. There just isn't the acidity in an orange that you're going to get in a lemon. So you need 2 lemons for this. You need to zest 2 lemons. Now I've done one already to save a bit of time, so you need to get it so that it looks white all over. You've just taken the yellow zest off it, and I've started this one as well. So you might have a grater that you pull across the lemon, which are fine, but I personally think they've got quite thick strands in them, and it can be a bit chewy when you eat this flan. I think it's better to be grated, and you might have all different sorts of graters, but you want quite a fine grater, something you might sort of do for parmesan. So that, not the cheese one, because that'll be too lumpy. It needs to be the side one. And with the lemons, I'll bring it over here. You just want to rub, turn. Rub, turn it. Don't do your fingers. Rub, turn. Now, as you're doing that, you won't get, I mean, that's from 1/2 lemons, a little bit of zest in there. And just keep going. It smells absolutely wonderful. And this is the most lemony part of the lemon. It's the zest. That's why it's used a lot in cakes, to flavour cakes. So we're going to use the zest of 2 lemons, and we're going to use the juice of 1. So that's it, that's how you zest, and you make sure them both look like that. And then just tap your grater, and now we're going to add that lovely lemon zest into that creamy, milky mixture, sugary mixture. And now I'm going to do my lemons. I'm going to cut them in half, because I want just one. I just want one. And actually, if you do that, first of all, just push it down before you cut it. It squeezes inside and that gets the juice out a little bit easier. So I'm cutting it in half like that. Now just make sure I've got no pips in this one. You might have different sorts of lemon squeezers, lemon juicers. I've got one here, and because there's no pips there, we don't want any pips going into there. And I'm just going to now just use that and but you must get the pips out beforehand, or squeeze it into a container and get the pips out that way, and the next one as well. So it's the juice of a whole lemon going in there. Now that mixture was quite runny, wasn't it? It was coming off the whisk. Look what happens now when you add lemon juice. This is food science. It actually starts to thicken up, because what you've done is, it's thickening it even more. What you've done is you've denatured the protein in there. The lemon juice is acid. It changes amino acids in there, it denatures it, and that's what's caused it to thicken up like that. You can do denature by whisking, which I just showed you in whisk to cream. You denature proteins by adding heat as well. Look how thick it's gone now. I mean, you could serve that in glasses or bowls as like a really nice lemon mousse. But what we're going to do is going to get that into that dish. I need to get my spatula. Get this in with the biscuit crumbs. So just be really careful now. You want to get all the mixture out first of all. So use a spatula, that's really good for this job. And just clean that bowl. It makes your washing up easier and makes your flan bigger. If you get everything out of the bowl, nice clean bowl. I'm not going to use a spatula though, I'm going to use a little knife. Because you don't want to, if you're just not careful, you're going to lift the biscuit up. And it won't affect the taste, because you're going to eat the biscuit with the lemon anyway, but it's going to affect the look. And when I give you a mark, when you send your pictures in, I don't want to see any biscuit, because you're going to cover the biscuit really carefully with this lovely sweet lemony mousse on top. Like that, till it's nice and flat. Don't worry if you do get some biscuit up, because you're going to cover it with fruit hopefully, so that will cover it over as well. So nice, covered all over. Look how thick that's gone. That was running, mixture was running off the whisk until I put the lemon juice in it and I denatured it. Okay, I can see all the lovely bits of lemon zest in there as well. Now you can put that in the fridge while you're doing your fruit. I'm just going to put mine there for now while I demonstrate doing the fruit with you. So you can put lots of different fruit on there. Avoid things sort of like melon, because that's quite watery. You can use frozen fruit on there, but again, just be careful because juice can leak out into the flan. Canned fruit, again, make sure you drain it well. Fresh fruit is always nicer, isn't it? So you can make your flan look really beautiful now. And I've got some kiwis, I've got some raspberries, I've got some blueberries. You could put fresh raspberries on it, satsumas on it, grapes on it. Banana you could, but remember banana is going to go brown, so you have to eat it straight away, whereas these fruits won't. So I'm just going to show you how to do a kiwi, because I just think the colours together, the green and that lovely yellow, looks really nice. So with a kiwi, you need to get that skin off it. So the kiwi, if you cut off both ends, you create like a little barrel shape then, and when you're peeling it, always turn it onto its flat side, because if you try and get the skin off now, it's wobbly. Turn it onto its flat side, then you're going to get your knife and you're just going to cut down and trying to sort of curve the knife as it goes round like that. Get the skin off the kiwi, and then I'm going to slice it up into first of all into circles, and I'm going to cut them in half into semicircles. And the strawberries, now I've washed my strawberries to save a bit of time. Always wash fruit if you're going to eat the whole thing. Obviously the kiwi will not eat the skin, and the blueberries were washed, and raspberries you'd have to wash as well. And just create your own pattern. You've got lots of time. In school we'll be always rushing to get this bit done, but make sure you get all the skin off it. I'm just going to put the skin there for now, but I'll put that in the bin in a minute. And then I'm going to cut it in half using the bridge. And now, using the claw, I'm going to cut it into slices, because I always think they look nice with semicircles, and you've got that lovely pattern inside a kiwi. It just looks so pretty on a pudding or in a fruit salad. So I've got my kiwi. I'm going to now the strawberries. I need to get, instead of wash them, I need to get the green bit off. Now just be careful, some people cut them there and they waste such a lot of strawberry. I mean, you can actually sometimes even just pull it off. Put your nail in there and put it off. Now because that's a little bit of an unripe bit there, I'm going to take that off because that doesn't look that nice. But if you've got, sometimes they're all a bit like it, and they're really big, these are too big to go on that. They look a bit daft on there and not very nice for them to eat that whole. So I'm going to cut them into a nice shape, into slices again. You could be creative, you could do whatever you like with your strawberries, but if you get some interesting shapes out of it, and it's going to look more attractive, so you can spend some time doing that. I'm just going to do one more because these are such huge strawberries. And the fruit is obviously going to make this healthier. It's going to add some fibre to the dish and some vitamins, which is always good. Always try and get that in all your dishes. So now I'm going to try to do some decoration now. So with the kiwi, I'm going to do a pattern around the edge of it. I say that you could just do whatever you like, be creative, different colours, and they always look nice. And just the kiwi on its own looks nice, but if you add the red and the blue colour of the blueberries, even more interesting. You might want to, if you've got some cream left over, you could whip the cream up and pipe it on the top. If you want to practice your piping skills, if you've got a piping bag, would look nice as well. So I'm just getting the fruit going all the same way. You can spend more time than me. Fruit going all the same way. And lots of restaurants use this, decorate it, because it also they sort of decorate so it's easier for the waitress staff to portion it up as well. Little tricks of the trade. But this, I mean, this fresh pudding like this, you spend a lot of money for this if you bought this from a shop. The things you buy in supermarkets are never going to be as fresh as this. And they put lots of obviously ingredients in them to make them stay on the shelves a long time, whereas you know what's gone into this. You know it's fresh ingredients. You've done it from scratch, and it's not full of chemicals and additives, and obviously it's going to taste wonderful, and it's just nice for you to do it. And then I'm going to fill the centre with some blueberries like that. Again, you can spend more time doing yours. I'm rushing a little bit. There we go. Then I might want to just put some blueberries around the edge like that. Take that different colour out. Do what you like. Try and avoid doing like smiley faces. Some people do that in school. I mean, that's fine. It's a bit primary schoolish. I'm looking for more professional looking ones. Really, you know, I'd like to see, you know, you'd see that in the window of a nice pâtissier like Valerie's Pâtissier or something like that in Tunbridge Wells or in London. So, and you pay a lot of money for that because it's fresh, all that fresh fruit in there. Now if you're, it might be a little bit longer to set, but if you're doing this at home, you've got a loose bottom tin and you want to put extra pressure, make it look even prettier. Well, if you just run the knife around the edge of the tin, just to loosen off that biscuit, the sides. Just run the knife around. I would not do this till it's been in the fridge for a little while. With a loose bottom tin, if you then put it onto a jar and pull the sides down, now mine needs to set a bit longer, but you're going to get the idea. There we go. And that is a lot easier to cut slices and people can see the biscuit then and they can see all that lovely lemon filling. So I'm really looking forward, guys, to seeing your delicious lemon flans, please. Put your pictures on Satchel 1, share with your family. I'm sure they're going to enjoy it. And I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye for now.